Hi everybody, I am Fran Gulic of Cotton and Joy, and I am here today at the Riley Blake Studios to show you how to make a really fun quilt. It's called Layered Triangles, and it is a free pattern on my website, cottonandjoy.com. And the great thing about it, it comes in two sizes. This is the baby size right here, and then the pattern also includes a throw size. And what I love about it is that you can use 10-inch pre-cuts, and you can use 10-inch pre-cuts for the background as well if you have a low volume background pre-cuts, or you can use yardage, which is also included in the pattern. And it comes together super quick, and I'm just going to show you today how to get a block together. So the first thing we're going to do, you need two 10-inch squares. So this would be from your Prince pre-cut if you have it. And then this would be your 10-inch for the background. And like I said, you can get this from yardage or from a 10-inch pre-cut that's all low volumes, like our Hush Hush collections. And the very first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this background piece and we're gonna flip it over to the wrong side, and we're gonna draw two lines corner to corner. So we're gonna grab our pen and our handy dandy ruler, and we're gonna go, like I said, from corner to corner and mark those two lines. And then do this line right here. And then we're going to place this square right sides together with your prints. And you just want to get it nice and flush, and then you can throw in a couple of pins so that the fabric doesn't shift on you. I don't usually put a lot of pins on my fabric, I just use two. And then we're going to take it to our machine, and with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, we are going to sew on either side of both lines. So you want to line it up right with the line that we just drew. And then we're going to take it and sew the next line on the other side. And now we're going to do the same thing with the other line, so on either side of this line as well. Okay. Oops. So now that we have our four stitch lines in, we're going to take the pins out, and now we need to make 4 cuts on the square. So the first thing I like to do is do the middle cuts first, and what I do is I line it up with that center point, and I just make sure that it's nice and straight on my fabric here and down here, and I just cut. And then I do the same thing going in the other direction. I don't move my fabric, just so everything's staying nice and straight. Yeah. And then I am going to now cut on the drawn lines. And at this point, if your squares move, that's fine, because you have that line to follow now. And now I'm going to take my triangle. So here we have now 8 triangles, which is what you use for your block. So one 10-inch square makes a full block. So you have the 8 triangles, and I'm going to press these. Pressing direction doesn't really matter. I prefer to press open, but I know a lot of people like to press to the side. If you are going to press to the side, I say press towards the darker fabric. But I will be pressing open just because that's my personal preference. And I finger press first. And there we have the first triangle, and I'm just gonna do all 8 really quickly. Okay, so here we have our last triangle that I am pressing open. And then the very next step is going to be trimming our triangles. So I'm gonna show you how I like to, oops, that's hot. How to trim my triangles so we can keep the points. I know that's always kind of difficult for some people, keeping the points on your triangles. I make my, all my patterns so you have to trim them. I know it's an extra step, but that makes for that nice and crisp points on your quilts. So to trim your triangle, you wanna make sure you have your ruler, and I am trimming to 4.5 square. So what I like to pay attention to is this corner right here, it meets with the seam, and then my 4.5 square line, it's also on the seam. So that way I make sure that I have that nice 45 degree. It's also easy if you have a ruler that has the 45 degree marking on it, you can just plop it right on that seam. So I'm gonna trim here, whoops. Both sides, and then flip it over and line it up at the 4.5 inch line. And there we have our half square triangle. So now we're gonna go ahead and trim all of our triangles. Okay, so now that we are almost done trimming all of our squares, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but you also need a 4.5 inch square from your background fabric. If you're using a 10-inch stack pre-cut, there's gonna be extra from what you need from the block, so you can cut them from there, or like I said, the pattern also includes yardage, and on there it shows you what you need, but you need 1 for each block. And let me finish this up really quick. There we go. And then once you trimmed all 8 of your triangles and you have this, it's time to lay out the block. And I like to start, hold on, I'm gonna do this upside down. Yep. With my background fabric block, and then I just go from there to lay out the rest of my units here. And at this point, the block is just an easy 9 patch that you can sew all 3 rows and then sew it all together into a block, and it's going to look like this. And then you just finish all your blocks and put the quilt together. And here we have the baby size. The pattern also includes a throw size, and that's all you need. It's a nice and easy pattern. It's nice and fast, and you can find the pattern on my website, cottonandjoy.com. If you just look for layered triangles, it's also going to be under free patterns on my website. And I hope you enjoyed this today.